city. Where you must fight to survive. 3 actors. 3 voices. Fight a never-ending battle.
Okay, wait. This is way too serious. All right, take 2.
In an unforgiving dog-eat-dog world, 3 voice actors struggle with...
Wait, what? Struggle? Dog-eat-dog world? Who the fuck eats dog? That sounds awful. You know what? I'm just gonna do my own thing. Have you ever thought to yourself, I really wish I could break into voice acting, but I have no idea where to start? If only there was a podcast type show that would go over the steps necessary to start a career in voice acting. Well, you've come to the right place. This is Cold Read, a podcast for voice actors by voice actors. We don't claim to be professionals, but we believe that we can help you along the journey by sharing our wisdom with you. Today, we will be discussing what the next steps are after acquiring your recording equipment, some websites you can visit to start auditioning for roles, and our general experiences with voice acting so far. Now, without further ado, your hosts, Zamoody, Eldurrino, Renara, PrincessPashley, and our special guest for this week, MattMan.
All right, we are rolling. Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, however it may be. Hello, everybody. My name is Zamoody, and we are starting off episode 2 of Cold Read. With me, of course, is Renara Hawke.
Hey.
Eldurrino.
Hello.
Pashley.
Hi.
And our new guest is, our guest for this week is MattMan. Hello, MattMan.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey. So I'm going to give everybody a quick time to do your introductions. Now, most of us, we did 3 introductions last week. So, Renara, go ahead and kick us off real quick.
Hi everyone, I'm Renara Hawke. I'm a singer, voice actor, and YouTuber. Zamoody's got all my socials and everything showing on the screen, I think. Hopefully. I've not got it next to me. But yeah, I've been doing voice acting for about 4 years now. I started at university and I've kind of just not stopped ever since, and I love it. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ren. Eldurrino.
Hi, I'm the Road to Eldurrino, otherwise known as the Water Messiah, reminding you to drink. Oh wait, no, it's not Twitch names anymore. I've been a voice actor for a few months now, having the time of my life. I'm also a singer, songwriter. I wrote the intro that you just heard. So Twitch, please don't DMCA us. And yeah, you can find my socials below because I don't really use social media all that much.
Pashley, welcome. You were absent last week. You had an awesome competition. You came in
Yay.
fourth place.
Yay. No, I came in, fourth. No, I was in Fam Jam Slam last week, so I was unable to be a part of the podcast, but I am probably the greenest of all of us in the voice acting spherical circle. I have been streaming Twitch things and a variety of things over the past year and a half. And I'm just breaking into YouTube. All my socials are
They're above
again,
you
on the
in this
screen.
case.
They're above me.
Right there.
Yeah, they're here. No, and I'm a opera singer I'm a trained opera singer, but I'm also a stay-at-home mom for my son, and music in general was not a family-friendly an enterprise. So I put singing and performing to the side until I picked up Twitch again. So this has been a godsend for me to be able to do this stuff from home and still be able to take care of my son. So here we are.
Oh yeah.
Well,
And
welcome.
I'm dating B Liddy, in case anybody is wondering. Don't flirt with him. I'm looking at you, Dorino.
Don't you fucking tell me what to do.
So before we get too much into it, let me say, MattMan, welcome aboard. Thanks so much for saying yes and coming on. Why don't you talk a bit about yourself?
Oh, absolutely. So my name's MattMan. I'm the Miskatonic Memorialist on YouTube, where I do Darkest Dungeon videos and other voice acting stuff. I've been doing it for about 2-ish years. I took kind of a break, and then I decided to come back and start producing. So I'm a voice actor, producer, director, audio, visual editor, just everything.
Very cool. How long have you been at this game called voice acting?
2 years.
Nice.
2 years.
Okay, so you are, I think, second here, because I think Ren's got us all by a couple years.
Yep. She's been doing it, I think. Yeah, she might be doing the longest.
I've been doing it since 2016, and there is time-stamped video evidence.
There you go.
Very nice. So just for anybody who's in chat, I'm monitoring. We have, if you want to bring in questions, either in chat. I see Fire Brimstone. Thank you so much. Feel free to just drop one in there. For anybody who's...
Friend.
Is that a friend of yours?
Yeah, he's a friend of mine. He's on my Discord. Hi, Fire. I know him. Sorry, I wasn't expecting anyone to turn up. Oh, that's nice.
If anybody is watching, because this will be posted on YouTube in 24 hours, it's under Cold Read the Podcast. If anybody has any questions for the future, just go ahead and send them an email, coldreadthepodcast@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to either listen to your, and sorry about if that's my dog in the background, either your auditions or any questions that you might have for somebody who's struggling. So just to recap, so Eldurrino can take over while I try to shoo away my dog here.
Give him hugs.
Sure. So if I can remember the intro correctly, today we're going to talk about the next steps that you will take after the most important thing, finding that passion or that drive for voice acting, whether it be you like doing impersonations, you like entertaining people, etc., etc. Well, with that, you also are going to need some equipment. Most importantly, you're going to need a decent quality microphone. Most of us, if not all of us here, have a good quality microphone currently. Some have been through many iterations of them. There's plenty of information online as far as what kind of mics are best for recording vocals. However, if you ever are curious about, hey, is my mic good enough? Should I look at something else? Feel free to send us an email or ask in chat, and we'll definitely help you along.
We will do our best.
I should note that we do these recordings for the most part Sunday mornings or Sunday afternoons at 1 p.m. Pacific, whichever one your magic time zone would land for that.
9 p.m. for England.
Sorry. But thank you, Ren, so far. But yeah, so yeah, we talked about the equipment last time. We also did talk about making sure that we don't take not negative or not being chosen too seriously when it comes to this, because we've all been there. And we all know that it's pretty much a shot in the dark whether or not we're going to get picked for a role.
You shoot enough time to hit something.
If I can, I'd like to bring up something.
Sure.
Yeah.
I got my first official rejection this week.
What? What'd you get?
Yeah, I auditioned for some people were looking for a host for a YouTube series that was teaching history, but in a comedic yet informative way. I was like, I'll shoot my shot. My audition I thought went really well. It was like a 3-minute long thing. I edited it to the best of my ability, and I thought I made it fairly entertaining. But they came back and said, we're moving in a different direction. If you would like more things to be sent to you as far as future projects go, please let us know. And I was cool with it. I sent them back.
Awesome.
I was like,
that's really nice.
Thank you for the opportunity. Like I'm glad you found someone that you like and that you're going to move forward with. And yeah, definitely keep me in mind if you have anything else that you'd like a voice for. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
That could have gone so much worse, I think.
Right. Also, Chad, I apologize for dabbing on camera.
You're not sorry. Shut up.
Never sorry.
So
I'll embarrass the shit out of myself if I have to.
So before we move on to talking directly, anybody else want to share any other interesting? Because I know, so for the most part, as most of you know, I've been focusing on voices.com when it comes to more of the commercial stuff. Let me tell you, this week it's been dead. There has been like no auditions, no nothing going on.
That's a
Sure.
holiday week.
Yeah, and it's probably because of the holiday and all of a sudden today, just stuff is really starting to drop off. So I really have nothing to share. Anybody working on anything interesting?
Well, I'm working on my own thing at the moment, so I haven't been auditioning as much as I would normally. Usually, I at least get like about 3 out or more, at the minimum 3 a week. Was when I wasn't doing my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I did my first one recently with the one that we all did for today, and that was like the first one I've done. I've kind of just sort of not ground to a halt, but I'm doing my own audiobook thing and I'm waiting on Foley to come back. So it's kind of like just in the post-production side of things, I'm just sort of sat in that waiting area of I've done what I need to do. I'm now waiting on someone else to give me their Foley and their stuff. So I'm on the other side of things at the moment rather than the voice acting side at the moment. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
a bit like what Matt does.
Yeah, I I'm actually working on my own thing too right now, which I spoke to Renara and Zamoody about if they
It
wanted to get
sounds
in on
good.
it.
It sounds
And
really
they
good.
agreed. So that's, one check mark off is I got some voice actors on that. But now I need to finish writing the script and figuring out how I want things to look. And the biggest thing is that I think I've rewritten this thing no less than 6 times.
Oh,
And I'm
that's like the
still
minimum.
not happy with it.
Oh, sure.
I'm still not happy. And I'm just like, ugh.
Man, that's usually how it goes.
Yeah,
You
My
never will
wall,
be.
my
There'll always be
wall,
something.
my wall with all my notes and everything, it looks like Charlie's wall from It's Always Sunny when he's trying to
Oh,
find Pepe
man.
Sylvia.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It looks like that.
Nice.
I'd asked for a picture, but I'm sure there's spoilers up there that you don't want to share because I'm sure it's curious. It's interesting as heck.
Yeah, I'll send you something after.
How about you, Pash? I know you're still very new when it comes to all of this, and you still have a lot of questions. For the most part, I know you have the equipment already because you've been doing the Twitch things, you've been doing Twitch in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I actually have some friends. Well, I do have a friend who's managed in the voice acting community, and she gave me the contact of her manager, and I'm like, it's just been 2020, because she said like you're already halfway there. Well, so because the equipment is by all means like you live and die by it, right?
Yeah.
So but yeah, no, I had consulted with her about like what mic to buy, et cetera, and with condenser mics, like you really need to be dead as you can, and the sound needs to be as dead as it can. So anyway, but yeah, I'm still like I was doing the job search thing. Speaking of like multiple rejections, like I have this new job now and remote school. Like everything's been kind of like sucking at my brain power. But 2021 will be a new start. So I would plan on being more on top of it with auditions. But.
I don't think 2021. It's a really low bar. It
It's
can't
a
be
super
really
low
any
bar.
worse than what's going on right now. Knock on wood.
Just go up from here. But yeah, I just need to get more into it and doing things like this where it's like, oh, it's once a week. Does anybody have like carousel brain where you're like, okay, I need to do this, and then like something takes your attention, then it goes to the back of your brain? No, you know what I mean?
Can't
Like,
say. I get too anxious if something pushes something further back. So I'm like, no, I have to do this first, and then I'll do that later. That's not only just came up. I'm doing laundry. That all that can wait. I'm going to make this audition right now.
And
then once I've done that, I do that.
In my case, the 11-year-old can't move to the back of the car.
Oh yeah, that.
He's always constantly running.
Okay,
just staying
if
at the
it was
front.
a child, different.
Your child's not paying attention email. Like I'll sit down and go do something, and I get an email from my teacher. Your child is not present in class, and then I look over, and he's looking at YouTube, and I'm like, because remote.
There is only so much anyone can do.
only so
Even
much
when
you
they're
can
at
do.
school, when it was online learning, because I'm a teaching assistant, so I was through the whole thing, and it was just sort of like they'll be at school and they'll do their online classes. They'll finish those within 2 hours, and then they're like, "What else are we gonna do?" So then they ended up watching YouTube and stuff, and we're like, so basically,
They got their stuff done.
yeah,
What else can you do? What
completely
can you say?
off topic. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's kind of my fault. But yes, there you go.
Well, and one of the places let's go into it. So once you have all of the equipment, a good place to go is Casting Call Club. I know that's where I started, and I pointed Eldurrino to go that way. And Ren, you're nodding, so I'm assuming that's also where you went. Pashley, you don't have an account yet.
Where most of my stuff's gone out.
Yeah,
from,
I have an account right now.
Oh, now you do.
Yay!
Awesome. We'll put that up. But
Totally am not signing up for it right now as we speak.
as your
Totally
screen
not.
goes completely white from filling that.
Was I transparent enough about that?
So one of the reasons, one person that I met on there and one of the jobs or the ratings that I've done is with MattMan. So MattMan, again, welcome so much. What's your experience so far with CCC? Because I don't know what the other side of is when you put up a project.
I think it's really great for like putting up a project. As far as you definitely get a lot of hits.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a lot. Oh,
so I've seen for
did
the
my
most
mic
part.
cut out?
No, yeah, a little bit. Sorry.
We're intently
sorry.
listening.
You still there?
So yeah.
All right, go.
Yep. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, you definitely get a lot of hits. You definitely hear a lot of different voices, and that's the good. The bad is that you hear a lot of voices, and there's a lot of people out there trying to make a name and get their foot in the door. And I mean, you say that I have a lot, which is like I have 300, I think, on 300, 400, compared to like Skywind, which is 3,000, or even some of these other ones that are like 10,000. And it's just, how are you supposed to listen to all of these and get through them all and figure out some feedback for each one? And it's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And you're for the most part, you've been really nice because you do give feedback for the most part on not everybody definitely does that, and it's exactly for that reason. It's just there's not enough time in the world to be able to do that.
Yeah, if I sat down and had to go through and like do an in-depth listen to everyone, I would never be able to even make the thing I wanted to make, because I'd just be spending all my time trying to give feedback.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's the case. But yeah, I mean, it's fairly easy to use, good to set up. Met you and Renara through it, so you know, it's good. It's definitely good for when you want to get in there.
Mm-hmm. So when you're listening to these individuals, because the last one that you did had what I think it was 5 roles for the last reading?
Yeah, it was. Yep, 5.
Okay. And you got a good amount, I'd say about 40 to 50 for each one, right?
Yeah, so that also depends on the role too, because sometimes the demands are kind of crazy where I'm like, I need a voice like this, and not everyone can do that voice. So sometimes I only get 3. And it's like, all right, it's one of you 3.
Right.
So when
it's a kind of niche is a good way to go. Like, not to limit yourself too much, but to look into those niches.
Oh, 100%. If you can find somewhere to fit and do it well, go for it.
If you can fill a demand, then go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the opera world, there's a role called the Queen of the Night, and you all have heard of it. It's and there's like the people, they only sing that, and they make so much money. These women, like, I would not be here right now if I could sing that role. Yeah, there's lots of parallels in every sphere of performing.
Right.
So
definitely.
Matt, when you're listening to these, and since you have so many, because you've got to have a line and you've got to have a first cutoff. What's the first thing that you listen for, and you go, no, I'm sorry, I got to go for a different way.
It's always got to be mic quality.
So
no matter how you cut it, you cannot play tennis with, you can't play tennis with a baseball bat. You have to have the right equipment if you want to do the job.
Yeah.
So the audio quality turns into a huge thing.
Always.
So
if you're going to be a voice actor, your voice is your tool.
And it's not even the voice, it's the way that the voice is being captured and the environment in which you're capturing it from.
Right.
Absolutely.
So this is when we go back, because Eldurrino, you've got your booth that you made. Renara, you've got your closet that you've made. I've got my TARDIS right here next to me. That we've all created this space where we can put in that noise, and super important. Pashley, if you have any closets or anything, it's always a good idea to see. Yeah, you're already pointing. Very cool. Yeah,
it's full of wigs and dresses and stuff from my stream.
Perfect.
So it's like doing double duty.
Yeah.
Matt from Game Theory used to start off by being in literally the closet. So
it's the
closets and blankets, man. It works.
100%.
Well, there's it's also important to discuss like the difference between the mics, because that's super confusing to people. And like it was confusing to me talking to other voice actors. Like I thought that the dynamic mic, because it has such a tight pattern, would be yes. I said that no. But actually the condenser, because it captures a cleaner sound, is the better mic.
Right.
So I've got my SM7B, which is mostly the one that I use when I'm singing, but I've got my Neumann TLM 102 in the booth for when I use actual talking. And I find that Neumann is able to give me much richer than this guy. If I want to do bass, for sure, 100%, I want to go with this mic.
Right. I
So,
mean, this is my most expensive mic that I have. I have the NT1, which it's still a beautiful sound, but it's not.
it's not this.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wouldn't say it's for like recording. I feel like it'd be more live performance than anything.
Yeah.
So once you've removed the initial purge of the ones with not that good of an audio, and you're left, I'm assuming, with a fair amount still of auditions.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm still got, at least a couple dozen people who gave their interpretation of it, because the way it starts is I look at a character and I think to myself, okay, well, what kind of voice does this character have? So, for example, when I cast Zamoody as our bounty hunter, I was like, okay, this bounty hunter, he's got a gruff voice. He's definitely like, he's seen some stuff. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's great. That's what I wanted to sound like. And then I listen to everyone and I'm like, which one sounds as close to the pre-existing idea I have in my head of what he should sound like? And that's the case for pretty much any casting director. Is they're walking in with a pre-existing idea in their head of what it should sound like. And then the voice actor has to sort of match that up without here through the descriptions and the writing and explaining, giving direction of how it should sound.
Sure. In contrast to that, how would you go about casting a part where you don't know exactly how you want the voice to sound? Because I've seen some postings that will say we don't have, we might have a small idea of what we'd like it to sound like. However, we don't know fully for certain. And I've also seen ones that say we don't have any idea how we want this to sound. So feel free to be creative about it. So how would you go about casting a role similar to that, or does that not come up for you?
So there are a few situations. I think the real situation that I come across a lot is I have an idea in my head of how he should sound, or she should should sound. And when I exactly, and then I go in and I hear someone else do their interpretation. I'm like, wow, well, that's a great. I had no idea it was supposed to be like, this is amazing. And then that changes my perspective. I'm like, yeah, you're right. This is good. This is how she should sound.
Sure.
And then if there is something where it's I don't really know how he should sound, it's all up to your interpretation, then it's just whichever one appeals to me the most, as weird as that sounds. Just
I'd say from me putting myself into the other side, both sides. But putting myself into sort of that thing, I can imagine people who don't. They say that when they say they don't have an idea in their head, or they don't have an exact one. I think they're more looking at what people can do, and then they kind of will probably go for they're looking more for your quality of your audio rather than what they specifically want. Because for example, I cast a character called Irene, which I think Americanized it would be Irene, so it's the Y, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And while I had a specific image in my head of what she sounded like, again, listening through it, I listened through some of them. One of them had okay-ish sounding, but her voice changed. Her voice matched a picture I'd found of the character, and it slowly started. I didn't necessarily say exactly what type of voice. I just said that she needed to sound British English. That was like my main thing, because it's an audiobook and I didn't want clashing of accents. So that was my main thing. But her voice originally wasn't exactly what I'd imagined, but it fit better. So it's like a weird swinging. It's the creative process.
It
So when
starts
there's
even in the audition process.
yeah, basically yeah.
You
Well,
know?
from when you're yeah yeah.
So, Pashley, on your side, when it comes to the vocal productions, I mean, for the most, when you're going in for a role, you have a good idea of what it already is, right?
I mean, yeah, by all stretches of the imagination, because when you audition for an opera and like, so say I was singing Susanna and Le Nozze di Figaro, if you're singing that aria, then there's so much more you bring to the acting when you know what's going on around it. There's the added layer of the Italian translation, right? Or the German translation or the whatever, right? So there's a ton of work that goes into that beforehand. And there's also hundreds and hundreds of years of tradition of what's been heard before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like this is what the countess is supposed to sound like. This is what the count is supposed to sound like, et cetera, et cetera. But that all said, what opera directors are looking for is someone who brings something new and brings a compelling story. And are they, to use the word again, compelling at storytelling?
And I think that works with when you've definitely got like if someone's doing a reimagination of a really like famous like animated series or something like that, like the Addams
Right.
Family when they kept bringing that back. I think that it's very similar the way they cast that sort of thing. But when it comes to smaller projects or things that are brand new and someone's making it, not all of the pieces are going to be there already.
Right.
So it's more of the case of who do you want on your team? Who do you want to help grow this thing from being quite small to something that's more of a sort of group dynamic, or at least that's what I
You're okay. Thanks, Ren.
I know.
So,
I'm not used to this.
We're only 2 episodes in. This is perfectly fine. By the time we get to 50,
know.
we'll all be pros. It'll be perfect. Don't worry about it.
So then
it's easier.
Go ahead.
So then, once I've sort of got my 5 or so, I usually get it down to like a short list of 5 people who I think would absolutely nail it, regardless of, you know, they have a good mic, they have a good accent, they have a good presence. I can tell that, you know, they can handle what I'm going to throw at them, because sometimes I throw a lot. But I sort of decide like, okay, of these 5, and I sit down and I really listen and I really run it through my head. I listen to each one multiple times until I finally get it, and I realize that's the one. And then I reach out, make sure they're interested, and then we go from there.
So let me ask you this: is because you're obviously doing an initial run through. Are you only listening to like the first 5 seconds first, and then when you get your short list, you listen to everything else?
It can be that case sometimes where once I get my short list, then I know that these are the 5. A lot of people, once I go through the initial run, I listen to each one and I figure out, okay, if they have a good audio quality, that's the key. If you don't have that, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna bother. But
it's fine. Be ruthless. It's fine.
No, and that's the idea.
It's not like, and this is sort of the thing that you hear a lot about is we just don't reach out to people, and like you'll never get a true rejection because there's so many, and I personally don't want to be that ruthless and heartless and be like, I didn't like your audition. It's like, no, your audition was fine. It's just not for this role.
Let me
That's
tell
what
you.
you were saying last time as well.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, for me on my side, if I do find that, for the most part, you put in something, you don't hear anything for it for months. That's generally how this business tends to work. If you end up getting shortlisted, though, I generally do appreciate them saying, hey, you know what? Just like Eldurrino got, we're going to go in a different direction. But it's so rare. It's so few and far between.
Right.
And that's just the nature of the beast. And it's a similar situation too, where, and this is something I will never do this, but I understand why casting directors do it, which is as soon as they hear the voice that they like, they shut off that audition.
Yeah.
And that's something that, you know, I will never cast someone early. I will always wait until after I've heard the last, because there have been situations where the last person who gets it in at 6 a.m. on Sunday morning, they're the one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what happened with my Irene. She literally just threw her hat in and went, "I saw your video. I'm gonna try it," and she got cast. So yeah.
Nice.
Well, there's like I can't stress this enough. Like we've all been through like the job market. We've all kind of gone through auditions. It's so important to divorce your self-value from these rejections, whether you get it or not. And you're doing it for the most part because it brings you joy and it brings you happiness. Like I've had to really like I think the same goes for Twitch, same goes for any kind of content creation, because you are going to get rejected. You're not like I came in 4th place for Fam Jam Slam and I poured my heart into it. You know what I mean? It doesn't, it's not, you just have to put your best foot forward no matter what you do because you love doing it. And I guess I've heard so many voice actors say like, do not do this to get rich quick or to do.
Yeah.
Because it's
Absolutely.
it's
a labor of love if you want to do this.
It's one of those things
it's a
where
twitch.
it's gonna hurt for the first, because I remember because the way I got into this was a complete and utter accident, because at
Ooh,
my
interesting. Okay.
university, but okay, am I allowed story
No,
time?
by all means.
time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, story time. So I was at university and I was doing my second year of university, and I had a module which was called work experience, and I basically Bath Uni doesn't really help you with that, and they kind of just sort of go out you go and just do your best. So I basically couldn't land a work experience or any sort of like just normal place to take me. So I just stumbled across Skywind when they had their original thing and went, I am going to do all, I used my initiative. I'm going to start doing my recordings. I like logged everything and I sent that as my set basically my module for my university. And then after that, upon me sort of like looking at it and going, actually this is really cool. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep doing this. So it was kind of like completely done out of a oh shit, I don't want to fail my university course, to then I actually quite like this. I wanted to be an actor. This is another way of doing it. So I was just sort of like, oh, this is really cool. Okay, because Smite Hammer, who's the guy who runs Skywind, this was way back in 2016, where he didn't have that many people. It was just sort of very new, and he was able to talk to all of us, and he personally would select people. I was lucky enough to be one of the ones he would talk to me and run me through, and I had a voice chat with him over Discord, and he sent me on my way. He can't do that now. There's like 300-400 people on the project now, but it was sort of nice to have that, and then just sort of he gave me my pointers on getting me started, and so now it's kind of like a nice full circle sort of thing, because I'm almost done with it and now I'm here. So yeah.
Nice.
But I thought that might be a nice story, because like sometimes it's just a case of, if you know you want to do it, do it. If you're not sure, have a go, see how it feels. If you're even if you're not sure what you want to do with your life, like just again, like auditions, throw your hat in, see what happens, and something interesting might happen.
Nope. I mean,
yeah. So that's. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say we're all here because we love to do it. I mean, nobody is making a living out of this just yet. So
Yeah.
Yet.
Yet. That's
But it's good that you said that, where you just throw your hat in the ring, see what happens. And when I first started getting into voice acting, I took a few classes, and one of my instructors told me, and something that I always live by, which is just do it, and whatever comes afterwards is gravy.
Yeah.
When you submit that audition, that's the end of the audition for you. You're done. If you get the role afterwards, awesome. If not, no big whoop.
Exactly.
Move on, because there's 1,000 other projects that got to get voices on them.
There's a I've forgotten what the saying is, but it's like, you've only failed if you give up, or something like that. It's like
Wayne Gretzky said, you miss the shots you don't take.
Oh my gosh, yes. Miss 100% of the shots you don't take, aka Michael Scott.
Aim for the moon. If you miss, you'll still land amongst the stars or something, I think.
Yeah.
So Pash, as the newest
vacuum of space.
Deep in the vacuum of space.
Yeah.
To then hit something
Nobody
else
can
on
hear
your
you
way.
Oh, we scream a lot. This booth though, let me tell you, the one of the few times I've been able to completely yell out. My wife actually heard me. She's like, "Everything okay?" So you hear the recording. I open the door. It's like, "What?" So, yeah, fine.
right.
Don't worry about it. Close it back up.
But 20
This
bucks says
recording
you
is
would
hack
still
lines, it's
hear
fine.
my boyfriend in the booth
Mm-hmm.
at full volume because it's so funny. You can hear him, playing Rocket League, one of his E-rated games, and he'll be like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm trying to record something nice for church here. Would you shut up? Like,
Good lord.
bro, it's just Rocket League.
So
Y'all need to chill."
I was speaking of which, I was going to ask, so because we did talk about how we got into voice acting last time. Pash, since you're the newest one here, you want to kind of give an overview of what made you decide to start going this route? And
I mean, I think necessity is a really big. I just spouted off saying like, do it because you love it, but at the same time, like, I am someone who's trying to figure out their life financially.
Mhm.
I mean, my divorce was finalized in January. I was home for 10 years with my son. Not to make it too much story time, but so it's a matter of trying. Can I make supplemental income off of this? I mean, I make supplemental income off of Twitch, and now I have this new job. But and if it's something where I can be creative and also do it from home, why not? Why not?
Right.
Some people it takes years. Some people get it instantaneously. But it's one of those things where there's never going to be you're not going to get a. This is step by step of how long it's going to take you to get to where it is to make money. There's no certainty. There's no, which is something I struggled with massively because I was like, when I was coming out of university, I did my film degree at university, and I was like, I've got to get into the film industry. This has got to happen. I've got it was that sort of panic mode of how am I going to make money doing the creative stuff, and then they just kind of don't tell you that you kind of just get thrown out into the world and you've got to kind of just deal with that.
Yeah.
So then you just sort of stumble, you fall, you pick yourself back up, you graze your knees, you get trampled by horses. Who knows? But you still, it's all about how many times you get back
Or
up.
my
I think.
ex-husbands. No,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say,
Wow.
Ex-boyfriends.
That's what I was thinking. Like, we all knew the end of Twitch things was coming.
Mhm.
Since the announcement, but I was already in the back of my head, like, what? I've made this investment. What else can I do with it?
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah.
Well, I initially started my YouTube channel for singing because I was classically trained for about 6 years when I was younger. Then I had a break, and then I just kept singing, and I loved singing. I can't do operatic anymore, but that was where I started. And like classical theatre and all that jazz, and I wanted to be an actor, and I did all that. And so I started my YouTube channel doing that, but slowly but surely, I've kind of just sort of it. You go through waves of what works for you. I went from singing to making films to not making films and being in hospital to doing an audiobook to Twitch streaming. So
Sure.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
just part
everyone's
of the journey
path
sometimes.
is different,
Mhm.
and I think it's important that for people who are starting out to not have don't have like super high expectations of yourself. You're starting, you're new at this, you're gonna stumble, you're gonna make mistakes, you're not nobody gets, unless you're extremely lucky and you've got money and you have connections immediately off the bat, no one's gonna get a massive production straight away. No one.
No.
Yep.
Nobody. So it's the case of just give yourself time and don't stop is all I'm saying. I think it's just the case of no matter how shit you feel you are, the more you do, the more you're getting better at it. You just can't see it in the moment. It's what I tell the kids all the time at school, but it's good advice for any career, I'd say so.
Right. And just like a lot of different performing arts, it's time, really. I mean, some of it comes down to who you know, and a little bit of luck in there as well. But really, overall, it takes time. Like, coming out of high school, my dream at that time was professional musicianship, specifically in clarinet performance. And I, I was going to these competitions and I was doing really well at them. And then I got a chance to play with a college band, and I looked at how they played, and I was like, I don't know fucking anything. Like,
Right.
it was very intimidating for me. Like
Mhm.
I felt like just giving up right there. And I mean, granted, I did give up, but that was more because I was like, well, this probably isn't going to pay the bills. So I might want to
Mhm.
maybe come back to that at a later point in my life.
But
Um,
never feel guilty for giving up something because something else will be down the line. That's
right.
what I'd
Exactly.
say.
Right. And I mean, this is real life. You need to
Mm.
do something that is going to allow you to survive on your own.
Mhm.
So, for anyone who is interested in getting into voice acting, don't give up your day job
No.
to pursue
No.
voice
No.
acting.
No.
No.
Keep it.
You
Cheater.
need a backbone.
Don't
You
do
need
it
a
with
backbone to
anything,
do
really.
the nice stuff on, basically.
Yes. Do
Don't-
do this as a side gig first, do it as a hobby almost, and then
Mhm.
once you start getting enough, consistency out of it, then you can look at transitioning into it.
Because the more you do, the more connections you'll make, the bigger your tree will grow, and it's that keep going, and it will grow, and it will get better,
Mhm.
and it's it, it's like a tree. It's like it's like a tree, and I'm
It's
going
a
to stop.
network.
Yeah,
Network.
that's
But
yeah.
you also don't want to stifle your creativity with the pressures of, well, shit, I
Mhm.
got to pay bills,
Yeah.
because you will not get it. And I will say this again and again. It goes into anything you create on the internet. If it's pressured, or if the money signs are in your eyes, people will sniff it out immediately,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
and
mean,
then you're not as effective as a performer.
even on the
So
other side
I
of that, people can sniff desperation. Plain and simple.
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
it's very easy
Mhm.
to yeah.
So just pay your bills. That's why Liddy went into IT. One of the most gifted musicians I've ever come across in my entire life. But
Mhm.
he's like, I can't pay my bills doing this, and it's
Yeah.
not fun.
And it sucks with Brexit, with not Brexit, with COVID at the moment. We've got a lot of the arts, unfortunately, because it's such a group-based thing. It's such a people-led thing. So people can't meet to do these things at the moment. So it's that it don't still what I'd say is don't give up on your love of doing it, but find something that utilizes those soft skills that you can still practice those soft skills with other people. Like for me, my ability to empathize and to understand people works well with kids. So I ended up working in a secondary school as a teaching assistant. I don't have to know what they're getting. I just have to make sure that these kids understand what's going on. So it's kind of that sort of the ability to translate emotion, like emotion teaching sort of thing. And
Mm.
I think I said last episode that I think being an actor or doing acting, you have this innate want and to understand humans because you
Mhm.
want to understand your character.
Mhm.
So if there's a job that can utilize your ability to empathize and read people, find something that can pay the bills whilst using that, because that helps you to develop that skill that will help you in the voice acting thing,
Right.
I'd say, sort of thing, because it's not all about the hard skills. Can you make something? Can you solder electricity? Like a lot of these things where they're saying, because there was a thing in Britain where it said they had a picture of a ballerina, and I hated it. Had a picture of a ballerina, and it said her next job will be in IT. She just doesn't know it.
Oh,
And I'm
I
thinking,
Yeah,
remember
I
that.
saw
Oh,
that.
wow.
Oh
and
God.
I
So
just got
cringe.
so it was the thing of like that. I understand the message it was trying to say, but it wasn't doing it in the right way. I
Mhm.
think.
Mhm.
I think.
Everybody comes for the arts when they say shit like that.
Mhm.
Yep.
So yeah,
My language.
but it's that case of her. She would be very fit. She's very like she does exercise for a living, basically dancing. So maybe something that requires to be on your feet outdoors all day or something like Gar- gardening is what I thought immediately, or like working on a building site or something as something that utilizes that aspect of her skill, if you know what I
Mhm.
mean.
Mhm.
So that's just trying to be helpful in regards to with the current situation. Don't playing off what Pashley said. Don't stifle your creativity. Look for something that will help you grow that, even if it's not immediately in something that's considered artsy. It's still developing those skills.
Right. And the
Mhm.
cool thing, like, oh, I shouldn't say cool thing because a pandemic isn't really cool.
Oh.
But it's sort of a blessing in disguise, in that a lot of more like I guess mid to high profile gigs do require travel. to either
Yeah.
New York
Yep.
or LA or someplace else. But a lot of voice acting gigs now are looking for people with in-home studios. So if you
Mhm.
are interested in trying it, and you already have the I guess the vocal set, like maybe you've done acting in the past or you've done singing or something like that, and you have the money to afford the equipment, highly recommend a good audio or a good quality microphone. Um, as far as like so Zamoody and myself, we both have our own custom made vocal booths.
Mhm.
You don't necessarily need one, like we've discussed before. You can, if you got a closet full of clothes, go right in there. Hell, I mean, Lance Reddick, very well known actor. He's been on The Wire, like American Horror Story.
Law
He
and Order
plays
SVU.
Law and Order SVU, apparently. He also plays Zavala in Destiny 2, a game that me and Zamoody and Pashley all play together.
Mhm.
Uh, that's what he uses. He goes into his closet and he records from there, and it costs him basically nothing, which is fantastic. Like the advantage of having a booth is, I guess, comfortability, uh, more so than anything. I know in Zamoody's case, it's probably more um, absorbing outside noise as opposed to
100%.
preventing
There's
noise
also the
getting
privacy as
out.
well, because I know some people who want to be actors are too shy, or don't have, or find it difficult to act in front of people. So voice acting's a good way to get over that sort of fear. I mean,
Right.
hell, I still find it hard to do like a voice thing on cue in front of people. But yeah, it's having that space to be able to give it your all without fear of people looking at you, basically. So I think
Right.
mentally it helps as well.
Yeah. So, like I
Yeah.
said, if you think now is a good time to try to get into
Mm.
voice acting, and have
Oh
some
yeah.
little extra money sitting around. Speaking of which, tax season's come up, so get ready for that refund and another.
England just pays council tax. We don't have to worry about writing all that down.
Sure. But yeah, I mean, if you feel like it's worth it, invest in a good microphone. If you want to take that extra step, you can build your own vocal booth. You can make it as big as you want, depending on how much money you have to spend, and then just go for it. The only way you're ever going to know if you're going to succeed is if you try.
Yep.
Well, I was gonna say my friend too. Maybe I need to get in touch with her to get her on this podcast because she'd be a really good resource. But like some of her friends even have trailers, like tarped in
Dude,
their front.
That's
Right? Yeah. So
that's pretty cool.
that's
get in
really
touch with
good.
her.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely a level above of where I'm definitely at.
We're not there yet.
No.
No, this is someone who works regularly and justifies that cost.
Yeah.
So that's it's a kind of scaling your production to the amount you work, and you don't want to like gold plate anything, or yeah, I guess gold plating is probably the best way to put it. Because if you're not working yet, why would you own a trailer? Why would
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So-
Don't put the carriage in front of the horse.
That's it. Cub.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You got to push that boulder up the hill first before you can ride on it on the way down.
Like SpongeBob.
It's a
Okay.
wrap.
Well, let me go back to you again, Matt, just to see. So we've talked about the short list, and we've talked about, out of curiosity, has anybody said no after you've given them the role so far?
Ooh.
Good question.
No, there was one person who I had to sort of like cut just because they had a lot on their plate already, and I knew that they were going to focus more on that than what I had, which was fine. I'm not going to. Hey,
It's not
if you are getting multiple roles, good on you, man.
Right, absolutely.
Like, more power to you. But at the time, I just needed like all hands on deck.
Gotcha.
But
So
no, there hasn't really been anyone who's
anybody
like,
said
no,
no?
I'm not that interested, or
We don't have
no,
anyone that high profile in our social circles to do that yet.
Right.
no.
Well, I mean, I know for me, I've reached the point where I've said, okay, I can't do any more free stuff. It's got to all be, because I've got so many Discords full of just projects that I've got going on, and it's funny because like none of them have really come out. But this is what I said: you do the work and you wait a couple months and you wait for it to come up. So once you get all the voices together, is there particular software or anything that you're using there, Matt, to put it all together? How are you doing that?
I mean, I'm using Audacity. Just
Wow.
that's the one you want to. That's if you're starting out, great one for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And for video and everything else, I use Filmore 9, but I'm slowly getting myself back into Adobe because
Okay.
I know there's probably more power in Adobe.
I was about to say, I know somebody
in
here
this
who
suite
just
right
invested
now.
in Adobe.
What's up?
They tell you in film school that you need to know Adobe Premiere Pro inside out, and
Yep.
it's like, oh, it hurts so bad.
It
I hated
hurts.
It hurts. I hated it. I know Sony Vegas movie studios, and that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started off in Vegas, and then I was told by several people who work in the business that like Adobe is the industry standard, and it's something that ended up working out for my job to get to know the Adobe suite,
Mm-hmm. Costs
Photoshop.
an arm and a leg, but yeah.
Yeah, and like and it's really cool. I took on these like little passion projects. Like Brian and I have been going back and forth making these birthday videos for one another.
Mhm.
So the last one I did, it was like it took me like 20 hours. It was something crazy. And I had like Kite Show
Yeah, you had a
and
couple people in your ear for that one, right?
oh yes.
Mhm.
Like pulling sound and like, oh, this GIF would work here. And
Have you done the obligatory stayed up till about 3 a.m. editing?
Oh, yes,
yes.
absolutely. I will say this, Renara, for yours, it took me, I was up till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
getting your
Wow.
scene finished because the ending with the Talon Mother, I was like, we have to make this work.
You could have just like said like if there was something I'm available to help.
No, I was like, it's 4 a.m. What's UK time right now? Whatever.
10 a.m. Well, if it's UK, no. So hold up, UK is
It's
5 hours
seven-
ahead
no,
of
it's
me,
five.
so it would be like 9 a.m.
Wow.
I would have been up by then.
Eh,
But I
you
mean,
guys
I
have-
understand because Matt, you pretty much said, "Hey, this is a wrap. Thanks, this worked out great. Now I want to use it," and you don't want to go back and ask for the retake.
yeah,
Yeah.
if I can, I always want to get like the way I always tell my VAs is 3 takes and
Mm-hmm.
different styles. However you see it works best because I mean, obviously, there's different tones when you take a certain scene, and the way you say "hey" can be taken 3 different ways depending on how
Oh, yeah.
what the tone you put behind it. Like, hey, hey, hey.
Yeah.
3 different heys.
Like me talking to my kids. I get it.
Or like Mr. Scoot the other day on the podcast, he was talking about like the penis game, and he only has 2 volumes. He has penis and penis.
Exactly.
Some people possess no middle ground.
Right.
Yep.
Sorry.
Well, and then so just so we can wrap that particular part out. Once you've got it all set up, you've been premiering it on YouTube, and your channel is now called
Miskatonic Memorialist.
Miskatonic
That's
Memorialist.
how you say it.
So if you don't know, that's a Lovecraft reference from Miskatonic University.
Very nice.
And the one thing that I will say for anyone who's trying to get into it, find what drives you and what your passion is. And for me, it was horror and sort of Lovecraft and horror stories that really got me into voice acting. And then from there, I was like, well, maybe I want to try my hand at this because there's not that much out there. So why not just do it myself? And then that's where it came from. And when you pull it from yourself, when you pull the drive, the passion from internally, then you can have it to keep going. Because if you're on a project and you're just not passionate about it, it's going to reflect in your work.
It's gonna drag, it's gonna suck, and it's gonna
It's
hurt.
going to drag you down. You're not going to like it. But when you're working for yourself, I mean, there's a reason why I stayed up till 4 a.m. to get that shot. It's because it was my project and it's going to be for me.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate it. I thanks so much for being on, MattMan. I look forward to hearing from you. Hopefully, if we got something else, I'd be more than happy to participate. Like I said, when it comes to buddies, I got no problem making room for you guys. So thank you so much. We did do so every week. What we try to do is we try to do an audition. So we're gonna do the audition part. I'm gonna have Eldurrino play. MattMan, I think you joined us on this one, right?
I did because I am a voice actor still.
Yes.
I still audition.
Super happy.
I still audition.
Yes.
You might not know it, but I still do.
So what?
Okay. So I was not prepared for this. I wasn't sure if we were doing the synchronized thing or
We can
not.
synchronize if that'll make it easier for you.
might be easier because otherwise I'd have to download everything and then feed
All
it
right.
through voice meter and whatnot.
So then let's go in order of appearance of stuff. So if you guys can go back into and I'll play it so the stream will be able to hear it.
Yeah.
We're gonna go into the drop files here.
I
And we'll go-
believe it's Zamoody's first, then Pashley.
So yeah, I guess we're gonna go in order.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna do a countdown. I'll make sure that this plays on my side
In
first. Okay, excellent. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, and I'll start playing, and I'll be quiet for a bit. 1,
Okay.
2, 3, go.
In the beginning, there was nothing. But then, light. Time went on, and all manner of creatures lived and thrived on many worlds throughout the light. But nothing is eternal. Scattered throughout the galaxies are ethereal gates, which open during total eclipse when light and darkness become one. Only the strongest may pass through to partake in a war as old as time.
All right, everybody should be finishing up.
Okay.
That was interesting. I liked the more sinister approach to it.
Felt like
You-
Diablo 3 or something.
Yeah.
yeah, like Deckard Cain.
Is it just me, or did it sound slightly like I want to say Arabian because it reminds me of one of Matt's characters slightly, and there's an undertone of what I would call Arabian. I think it's it's the type of gravel you used. I think because it's not as bubbly as your normal gravel is. It's
Mhm.
much more like sand. I speak pictorial. It's the best way I
No,
can.
no, it's
speak.
perfectly fine. It's perfect.
And I don't know, that was just my gut instinct. What I imagined was I could imagine like the beginning of Aladdin with that guy who does the narration sort of thing. But
Yes.
not that cheesy. I know what I'm trying to say.
No,
it's
it's
just not
perfectly
coming
fine.
out very well.
You're fine.
So my biggest thing is I know everybody was going to go with like the foreboding mansion, welcome to this world type of situation. I wanted to do something a little bit different, and that's why I tend to thrive in trying to throw off the particular stereotype. So I'm very excited to hear what MattMan and Eldurrino did, because I know the other side of it, they didn't want the whole Lovecraftian. They wanted more of a timeless mother type of voice. So I'm super
I
excited to
believe
hear
they
everybody's.
said they wanted a voice that has gravitas to it.
Gravitas.
As
Gravitas.
Yeah.
As in
Yes.
the weight of their words and what they meant and sort of thing.
Yes.
Okay, next one.
Yeah, I'm gonna do Pashley. So I'm just machine gun it. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3. So,
Okay.
Don't judge me.
no, don't. This is good,
Like I
Pashley.
said, don't feel guilty. You've
No,
just started. right?
Just do it. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Time went on, and all manner of creatures lived and thrived on the many worlds throughout the light. But nothing is eternal. Scattered through the galaxies are ethereal gates, which open during a total eclipse when light and darkness become one. Only the strongest may pass through to partake in a war as old as time. In the beginning there was nothing, but then light.
Something quite similar in that the first line, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
In the beginning there was nothing. We've both done that that light uplifting like thing, whereas I think with Zamoody's it was more aggressive. I think might be a good way of putting it. But that's just interesting to hear that we thought along a similar line there. That's quite cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I like that because I mean I don't want to spoil my own, but I did a very announcer like, very triumphant.
Yeah.
And I like how that was a very distinct contrast to that. Like it's just a wisp, and I think that's really cool. I think that's
So I
very
can just imagine like if you've got images with that, it's like that really calm ding light.
Right.
You get me? Sort of thing. And
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
a nice contrast to how you did it, Zamoody. So yeah.
It's like
Yeah, Zamoody's. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna make a really shitty joke.
Oh, okay.
Well, you also have to like play to the strengths of your own voice, and sometimes for me, like I made that 1-900 joke in the Discord before, but I feel like there can be a calming quality to my voice.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely.
for me to go a MattMan direction wouldn't necessarily play to my strength as an opera singer, as a classically trained. I mean, it's obviously an avenue to explore to make myself more flexible, but just starting out. Like my thought is to play within my herb, so to speak, my genre.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
that's how you want to do it. You want to play to your strengths, and
Mhm.
if a role calls out for like a baritone, deeper voice, obviously I'm going to reach out to Zamoody. But if I need something more soft, elegant, and lighter, then I'll go to Paisley. Or Renara. It's all just about recognizing what you're good at and going for those roles without being typecasted.
And
'cause
that's
you want to have
exactly it.
diversity.
If you can recognize your voice and know your strengths, you're above everybody else. Because if you are just a person that goes in and just goes for everything without knowing what you're doing, it's kind of like you're flailing uncontrollably and hopefully you're going to hit something. But if you focus, because you've got that clear reading, that clear diction, Pashley, and all I have would be two little technical notes. Would be one, it was too soft for me. I would have much rather more volume. And I could tell
gain wise, or from like more presence
from
in
the
voice?
file
From
wise.
you,
yeah.
File.
From the file itself
me.
needed to be stronger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, usually you want to mix it out to be between -6 and -3 decibels.
Okay.
Almost always normalized to -6 and then compressor.
Right. The other thing, I'm going to assume that you did it on the SM7B. Yes, because I could hear mouth clicks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the other thing that you want to be really careful about.
Do we have tricks for you in regards to that?
Oh yes, 100%. The green apple trick, and we can talk about that in upcoming podcasts. But other than that, I think it was great. I think you did some really good reading. I would also make you think about maybe going the ACX route if you ever decide you want to do just straight narration. They're the
What's ACX?
So they are Amazon's audiobook people that literally just let you audition for anything, and you put it up and you clean it up, and you can get royalties or you can get paid for it.
Yep.
So if you want to be more in the clean narration side of it, or even if you go with the voices.com, which is just the commercial stuff, but I would say before you go voices, make sure you have your demo reel, and that's going to take a lot of practice, and we'll talk about that in a future podcast.
Demo reel is something that you really got to think about. I will just say that.
Yeah, because once you put it out, you can't make that impression again.
Yep. I made that commitment to video and sound editing this year. It's like I was gonna learn it, and I'm like, I'm so fucking glad I did, because it saved me so much trouble. Or just the money, because I can put something together clean myself. I can, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think that's absolutely necessary?
Bye, Frodo. Thank you.
For people aspiring to voice acting to know the video and sound editing side of it? I mean,
Sound
beyond a
for
pedestrian
sure.
knowledge.
I think it helps. I think it helps if you have some, but I don't think it's necessary, because some people will want to do it themselves. Like the person, because I've been asked to do nothing and just supply my raw takes, so they on their side can normalize and do everything that Matt was talking about.
Sure.
Because sometimes, I've had things through where they've overdone it, and it sounds like really. Yes, there's no background noise, but they've cut off parts of their own voice, or bits are missing. So I've asked for retakes. So it's down to what project you're on.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say sound editing wise, very handy to have. Just because there are some, especially when you're just getting into the industry, you'll find that people don't really know sound editors or engineers or anything like that. So having that knowledge and being able to edit and just edit your own takes and whatnot definitely will help you be above the competition. Video editing, though, not so much, because I mean, unless you're planning on putting stuff out on YouTube in regards to it, you probably aren't going to use that ever.
Yeah, I guess that's where my confusion was when you guys said demo reel. So that's kind of more an audio reel than it is a video.
Yeah. Okay. It's just like a collection of bits and pieces that are your best that you want to put forward. It's like when you give a demo reel of a music disc CD of a band. They'll give that to a producer. They'll listen to that and they'll go, "This is your best stuff. All right, we'll work with you," sort of thing. It's like it's like a trailer reel for film and TV, because I've done that before.
Right, but it's for you.
But for your voice. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Any other notes for Pash before we move on?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
Louder, bitch.
Yes. All right, playing Wrens in 3, 2, 1.
In the beginning, there was nothing, but then light. Time went on, and all manner of creatures lived and thrived on many worlds throughout the light, but nothing is eternal. Scattered through the galaxies are ethereal gates, which open during a total eclipse, when light and darkness become one. Only the strongest may pass through to partake in a war as old as time. In the beginning, there was nothing, but then light. Time went on, and all manner of creatures lived and thrived on many worlds throughout the light. But nothing is eternal. Scattered through the galaxies are ethereal gates, which open during a total eclipse, when light and darkness become one. Only the strongest may pass through to partake in a war as old as time.
Ooh. So, Ren, let me ask you first. Do you normally give 2 takes when you're doing an audition?
I do. I normally do, because that that was my attempt at doing a slightly softer and then slightly more forceful. I do like to give variation just to show, because, like we said, our interpretation can be quite different. So if I've not got the interpretation quite spot on with my first idea, maybe I was going to try something that I think might be something slightly different and more to what they want. Just give as much variety as I can. Within the limits of what they've asked for, because sometimes they won't ask for however many. Sometimes I'll ask only do a certain amount so we can listen through however many. But it's my way of giving my all for each one. And because I've experienced in just my personal life that I misunderstand people quite a bit on occasion, especially with the way people say things and all these sorts of things. So I've had the experience of just to ask the questions and sort of then say, "This is how I interpret it. Is that right? Oh, okay, try this." In personal life. So I thought, why not bring that over to this? And it not only does it allow me to show more range, it allows me to show what I can do in terms of nuance, but it also explains how I see the character in a way, I think.
Gotcha.
So I try to at least do 2, one soft, one loud, just so that they can see with my editing that even when I'm speaking softly, you don't lose much. And when I speak louder, I don't peak. And it's just sort of my nuanced way of showing, hey, I know some bits and pieces in 2-minute small thing.
Right.
At the very least, that's how I see that.
Let me ask.
Shut up now.
No, it's okay. Let me ask you this. So, because you did put in 2, I just so everybody out there knows, I would obviously recommend the one that I like the most to be first. Is that what you did here, or did you just put the 2?
That is what I did there,
Okay.
actually, because I did my first, because I wasn't feeling great today, so I just sort of ran, I just off hat did a soft one. Wasn't
Gotcha.
happy with it, but then I was like, I want to try soft, and then listened to that and went, okay, I think I can't. What was it? It was like, it was so soft that some points didn't feel like I acted them enough. So then I went back and did the second one, and then I went, I like these both. I'm going to put both these forward.
Gotcha. So I would just, the only reason I say that is because if anybody is starting out and you want to make sure and you want to do, always put the one that you like the most first, obviously. Because like we talked earlier, if Matt's got 40 people or 50 people to look through, you're only going to listen to the first 4 seconds before creating your short list.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got to put your best foot forward no matter what.
Right.
Stick your foot through the door, and if they slam it on it, at least you'll feel the pain.
And if you're going to submit something and it has more than a couple takes, mention that. Say that, I did 3 takes, I did 4 takes, and I did one with a Scottish accent. Like, that way we know and we can look to that and say, like, oh, yeah, that does look weird or unique.
Right, because otherwise you wouldn't know to look for it.
I wouldn't know to look for it. It's just 4 minutes. And I'm like, well, why would I listen to this for 4 minutes if I can already tell in the first minute or the first second?
I do play with because with CCC, when you click on it, it shows the waveform of your audition. So I do try to space. If this was like the one I put for this one, I've deleted the silence bit in between so that it runs smoother. But for the audition, I usually with those 2 takes make a big split in the middle, so it's quite obvious there's 2 things, as well as putting it in underneath usually.
Gotcha. I honestly thought your voice fit it really well. I liked the wispiness when it came to it. I love the intensity when it came to light. It was again, it's a big contrast in between. It's more welcoming, it's more warm. I loved it. So
I'm gonna nitpick my own one in that I can hear clicks and sort of like more breathy sounds than I would naturally be happy with. But I won't lie. It was a toss up between, do I want to spend more time slowly getting more wooden with these lines, or am I just going to put forward what I've got and then be like, because you can nitpick your own audition till the cows come home, and you can make it worse the more you try to go into it.
Oh, yes.
So it's the case of a balancing act of how much do you want to go into that, how much do you want to how much do you want to keep going at it at cost of you starting to lose the feeling of it, if you know what I mean. Sort of thing. So I just went, okay, this is the best, this is what I'm happy with. If I start fiddling with this any further, it's just going to turn into something. Put that through, done my thing, happy. But thank you.
The other thing to remember too is you can use your breath to your advantage in some situations. If you can build up or you can fade out however you need it to. So you're sounding like something really important. You take a breath before, take a beat, and then you go into the next one.
I love that. That's a good one. Thank you, Matt. Yeah. Sorry, Pash.
Well, I was just talking about emphasis, and I mean, there's applications for that in singing.
All right. Any other critiques or assistance for Ren?
Please rip the shit out of me.
All right, let's listen to Eldurrino.
Well, I was going to observe like just that I liked the pacing. It wasn't too slow, it wasn't too fast. It's phrased.
100%.
Musicality to
One thing I noticed, there wasn't any punctuation in the lines either, so I just went, right, what feels natural to me? You know what I mean? Like how would I have said that? And because I remember there was one line with one of yours, Matt, which one I was doing for the Musketeer, which I totally misinterpreted what the actual line was. But when I got the full paragraph for it, I then realized, because I think it was I learned to fire my musket at everything, even if it happens to be a waste, or it was something to do with that one. That in the audition, my inflection was different to what it was when we actually went for it. What was that?
Yeah, it was in the beginning there, where it's like there's supposed to be a pause, but in the audition, in the notes for it, there is none.
Yeah,
and that's because when I'm picking lines for your audition, I pick 3 because CCC allows 3. 3 of the best that I think would fully represent the character, and like the highs and lows that you have to go through.
Okay. Let's move on to Eldurrino's. Everybody got it ready, and we're going to go in 3, 2, 1.
In the beginning.
Oh no,
there was nothing.
I wasn't ready for that. I didn't see that. I'll be behind everyone.
It's okay.
In the beginning, there was nothing. But then, light! Time went on, and all manner of creatures lived and thrived on the many worlds throughout the light. But nothing is eternal. Scattered through the galaxies are ethereal gates, which open during a total eclipse when light and darkness become one. Only the strongest may pass through to partake in a war as old as time. In the beginning, there was nothing. But then, light! Time went on, and all manner of creatures lived and thrived on the many worlds throughout the light. But nothing is eternal. Scattered through the galaxies are ethereal gates, which open during a total eclipse when light and darkness become one. Only the strongest may pass through to partake in a war as old as time.
All right, awesome. Mine is all set.
Okay.
All right. From a technical point of view, I would like to see a bigger pause in between the lines myself.
Same. I would agree on that. It's there's
Too
not enough
abrupt.
time for us to digest what you've just done.
Yes.
And then you go straight
Yep.
into the next one.
Sure.
I'd also say I think I prefer your second one, the second lot of yours, than the first one. Simply because I feel that there was much more
Emotion, right?
Thank you. That's the word.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we felt the story of what you were trying to say more with that rather than your effect with your voice in the first one, I think.
Sure.
I think
My idea behind the two different takes was the first one was more of the gravitas, and the second one was more what I imagined like a young scholar kind of like reading from a book, about time's history or whatever.
Mhm.
I don't want to be mean, but I think it didn't come across as gravitas. It just came across as a deeper voice. It came to me. I think it's not how you say it; it's how you feel it. And with gravitas, that's you feel the weight of the information that you're saying. So it's not just how you say it; it's you are partaking with words that you don't want to repeat anymore. This information is important and vital and needs to be known. You aren't going to repeat yourself.
Mhm.
They're going to listen to you, not aggressively, but it's like it's gravitas is. I'll get there eventually, I promise. It's like when like your parents sit you down for a talk and they want you to listen to every word that they say, and that's and it's that sort of important. It's that important nature, which is why I think they went for motherly in their description. I think so. While your voice was, it was more like a show, an announcer, you're like a Greatest Showman when they opened a show. Then light is how I felt that, and I think that could work. It's just I don't know how to end this sentence very well, but I've said my point.
Well, let me tell you, for me, because I definitely like your second take a lot more. I think you were limiting yourself a little too much by trying to do the deeper particular, because again, you're falling into that particular stereotype when it comes to reading Lovecraftian of everything is nice and calm and everything else. But for the most part, I like your second take was, I think, much better. I really liked it more. And the only thing, like I said, from a technical point of view, give yourself like half a second to a second more just to give that individual a second to process what they've just listened to.
Sure.
Yeah, same thing. Second one, much better. It is kind of going for the deeper is good, but also keeping it natural. And you'll see this in my deep cut when I did this. In one of mine, it was deep, but it just wasn't feeling natural because it wasn't. I'm forcing a voice.
Okay.
Well, from a vocal production standpoint, like Eldurrino really doesn't have to add anything to have a low voice, in my opinion.
No.
So that's what it kind of like, opera singers are often accused of trying to sound like opera singers, right? To get overly, that's a whole discussion. But it felt like you were trying to go further with it than you needed to. And I'm always a big proponent as speaking with as much of your natural voice as possible,
Right.
because it already knows what to do.
Yep.
Right.
So
I guess I did not understand the meaning of gravitas then.
No, I think you were
Very
pretty
British
close. It's
word.
just I think you're again. Keep in mind, it's an interpretation. Don't take our
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's still how you saw it.
I
so
mean,
it's perfectly fine.
my entire spiel of what I thought gravitas might be completely different to what they actually thought of it, but that was my interpretation of what I thought it was, which is why I had a different opinion of that take. So
I agree.
Okay. Sure.
All right. Any other notes for Eldurrino? All right, love it. Let's listen to MattMan. I'm so curious about this one. Okay, everybody got it queued up before we start hitting play?
yep,
I just want to apologize in advance.
Oh, don't you dare.
it's not that bad. I probably won't be.
Took that first one here before the Me 6.
Oh, I see a Scottish one. I'm so excited. Okay, starting with the deep. And 3, 2, 1.
In the beginning, there was nothing. But then, light. Time went on, and all manner of creatures lived and thrived on the many worlds throughout the light. But nothing is eternal. Scattered throughout the galaxies are ethereal gates, which open during a total eclipse, when light and darkness become one. Only the strongest may pass through to partake in a war as old as time.
Okay, moving on to the Scottish one.
I'm excited.
In the beginning, there was nothing. But then, light. Time went on, and all manner of creatures lived and thrived on the many worlds throughout the light. But nothing is eternal. Scattered throughout the galaxies are ethereal gates, which open during a total eclipse, when light and darkness become one. Only the strongest may pass through to partake in a war as old as time.
All right, moving on to the last file.
In the beginning, there was nothing. But then, light. Time went on, and all manner of creatures lived and thrived on the many worlds throughout the light. But nothing is eternal. Scattered throughout the galaxies are ethereal gates, which open during a total eclipse, when light and darkness become one. Only the strongest may pass through to partake in a war as old as time.
All right, I'm all set.
That Scottish one made me smile so much.
Yes.
Because that actually sounds Irish, not Scottish.
My bad.
Well, I was gonna say
It's a
there's quite a
Celtic
few
accent, but
Scots.
yeah.
There's quite a few Scots in the Twitch Sings community that like Becca Clark and Lady Cleo Cabaret, and it was close, but it wasn't like just from listening to them, it just could have gone a little further.
It just reminded me
But-
of The Hobbit. Is the Irish person who played Pippin in The Hobbits? I think.
Mm.
Because this reminded me
Yeah.
of that sort of accent.
I'm channeling Mimir from God of War. I've been playing a lot of that recently, so
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I can hear that. For me, out of the 3 takes, I like the last one. I got a
Agreed.
very Twilight Zone announcer dude out of it. I loved it. Again, on the first one, I think you were trying to do a voice, and you were up, and I saw what you were going for. But like I said, for me, out of the 3, the accent is awesome. I can't tell a difference, obviously, between an Irish and a Scottish accent, but I love the third one.
I agree. It's the similar thing of the deep one basically made you more monotone, so you had less room to play with in your inflections. So because you'd weighted it so much that there was little higher, there's not enough dynamic for you to get across the information you wanted. Whereas with your natural voice, you're much more cooler, and we got that wave of ups and downs and different things. I think it was good that you did a variation of an accent, even if it might not have been exactly what you'd labeled it. But it shows what you can do, though, and it shows that your the acrobatics your voice can do, and just even though they didn't ask for an accent. They didn't ask for an accent because they said you could try anything. But I would say for other projects, sometimes they will ask specifically, and sometimes if they ask for something specific, don't even try doing something else. Because I did that with a few others, and I didn't hear anything back from them, sort of thing. So it's again sort of read down. I'm coming up with random things to put in here everywhere. It's my brain isn't straight.
I'm sorry, Ren.
It's okay. It's fine. You do this to me, all of you. I blame you.
All right.
So, yeah, that's the thing that I was trying to get across with that, which was using your natural voice and using what you're comfortable speaking with is way better than trying to force something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah.
And when I took classes, and on top of the whole, if you want something, just do it. The other thing that we spent at least 5 classes talking about was just getting comfortable with your voice and what you sound like and what
We
you're
said that
capable of.
last time. Like get
Because
used to hearing your own voice.
Get used to hearing your own voice because it's not going away anytime soon.
Oh my God. Well, I was gonna say what I heard in the first for the first of Matt's recordings was like you were accomplishing the deeper voice by like a vocal fry, and that is very, very exhausting on the voice. So coming from my background, I shy away like that is kind of more like a salt than it is the main meat or the main meal of your voice. Because it's I wish I could like post what your folds go through when you do those things. It's violent, you know.
Yep.
So for your longevity, I would be careful of that.
I avoid using those. It said a deep voice. This is Zamoody. It's only for you. Do not do that for anyone else.
We're so spatial.
Special. I've
Thank you.
After I lost my voice one time, I'm not doing that ever again.
Yeah, your voice is
I
an
did
instrument.
the same
Like,
at the higher end. I got not I don't think I got nodules, but I think I did get something growing on my vocal cords at one point because I couldn't do my high range for about a good year, and then because it can go both ways.
Yep.
mm-hmm. All
I
right.
see the opera singer looking at me very disapprovingly.
Wow.
Look after your vocal cords, right?
That was me looking at Zamoody disapprovingly.
What did I
see,
do? What did I
okay,
do?
it's fine. I'll hide.
I'm just not going to say anything about my screaming.
All right. Well,
That's a whole. We had a podcast about that, Eldurrino. Okay.
Yeah, we did.
well, for the most part, I want to just definitely say thank you again to everybody who is here live and anybody who decides to watch this video in the future. If you have any questions for any of us, you can reach us either directly within Twitch or on. I don't know why that quieted down. Sorry. On a particular channel, either leave comments. You can email us coldreadthepodcast@gmail.com.
This
any last words?
is Cold
Oh
Read.
gosh, it's the other one. I don't know why it's playing that one. I have to edit this out. There we go.
Don't stop.
Just because
Keep
I
going.
love embarrassing Pashley, Renara, I would like to let you know that Pashley offers vocal lessons
Oh yes.
on her OnlyFans.
Okay.
I do. I'm my OnlyFans.
Oh, no. I would lose my job probably. No.
So there we go. This is the one that. There we go. So MattMan, thanks so much for coming in. I hope you had some fun. I hope we it's great having you on and seeing the other side of everything that's going on.
Definitely. I absolutely loved coming on, talking to everyone, meeting everyone. Well, I've already met you two, but
Yeah.
the other two. Hey guys.
Whoa. Well, now you get to see that the guy behind the voice has a giant white beard and tends to wear a wizard hat at night.
Oh, well, I already knew that.
Oh, okay.
I've seen your streams, man.
Oh, there you go. That's true.
Well,
So coming up for next week, you'd probably start. Anybody want to do the intro? We'll talk about that.
I will attempt to. I'll try.
Yay! Thank you, Ren.
Pretty sure it's
I'll
your turn.
try.
I think because I'm going to be spamming Twitch Sing so hard this week, I'm probably not a good candidate.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I
I
totally
will
understand.
do my best.
Yes, that's all that we ask for. So yeah, keep everything going on. Try to stay ongoing. We got one more week to go. I'm gonna get dental surgery the day before our next podcast, so
Holy shit.
I'll probably be really quiet the next time. So if somebody wants to take hosting duties, please feel free. Anybody?
I'm too shy. Thanks.
Okay, guys. So thank you. Everybody was here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Anybody? Any last words?
Don't let your dreams become memes.
That works for me.
Yes.
Never
Follow
stop
us
trying.
on our social medias as posted above or below our heads.
Yes, come follow us, please. I need 30 more people on YouTube just to be able to do some my own link.
More on you. 5 more subscribers on YouTube before I hit 100. 5 more. Come on, guys.
Stay safe and stay awesome.
Yes, we look forward to the next projects, Matt, and if you want to meet Eldurrino and his stuff, or if you want to put Pashley in something, go ahead and give us a drop down, and we'll go from there.
I might.
Ah, yes.
Yes, this could be useful.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody out. We're going to just go out. Thank you, and stay talking. See you next time. Cut.
Yeah.
All right, we are no longer live.
That
That was an hour and a half.